Hello everyone and welcome to the WCG for match 9 of the 2022 TextBet Australia Day T20 Big Bash, which sees a huge clash to round us off here in the group of death as 2 inches short of a length take on HOWZAT. These two tournament heavyweights meet for the first ever time at the Australia Day T20 Big Bash, and there's plenty at stake here in this crunch contest. Here you can see the makeup of Group A on your screens. It is HOWZAT who currently sit atop of Group A after their victory against Wet Up in match 5. And it's the men in red 2 inches short of a length who must win this contest to give themselves any chance of progressing through to the quarterfinals. So things coming down to the wire once again in the famous group of death. The all-important toss was conducted a short moment ago, and it was the men in red who won the toss and elected to bowl first. A wise move from the red skipper, who now keeps both hopes of a bonus point open in this contest. And ELBASHA will lead the Reds into battle once again for this must-win match. He'll be joined by his right-hand man Justin Brook, with STEPIEN, the pace spearhead, rounding out the 2 inches short of a length lineup. And for the two-time champs, they'll be heading into this contest full of confidence after their victory against Wet Up in match 5. They'll be skippered by Brendan Scott once again. Costa Savas takes his place in this lineup once again. He and Scott will be hoping with better efforts with the ball in this match. And the side is rounded out by the tall timber himself, Daniel Arnold. And just before we get underway, we'd once again like to thank our major partners for this year's tournament. TextBet, who have been fantastic since jumping on board. Bet local, bet with Tex. So it's everything to play for here in this group of death finale. A win for HOWZAT sends them through top of the pile. A win for 2 inches short of a length makes things very interesting. We're ready to get this show on the road. And no surprises, it will be the HOWZAT skipper Brendan Scott who will get this innings underway with the bat. Made 23 in his side's victory against Wet Up in match 5. And he'll be looking to get the two-time champs off to another brilliant start in this one. So it all comes down to this here in Group A. It's a must-win match for the men in red. And it's going to be Justin Brook to bowl to Scott first up. Here he's in now around the wicket, and he begins with a full toss. And Scott clips this off his toes onto the fence, but it's fielded by STEPIEN for no run. So as mentioned earlier, this is the first ever meeting between these two tournament heavyweights at the Australia Day T20 Big Bash. So this one is shaping to be an absolute beauty. As Brook is in once again to Scott. Scott gets a thick inside edge onto the fence, and this time he goes through for a single, and he took the back half of that pretty lackadaisical. And there's one or two questions asked here from the Reds fieldsman. Here, it's actually been given a leg by. It's a great bit of fielding there from STEPIEN. Oh, his foot was just down. Lazy there from the HOWZAT skipper, but he survives as Brook is in once again to Scott. And this one's a good delivery on a good length. And Scott can only get forward and defend for no run. So a pretty decent start with the ball here from Brook in this crunch encounter here in match 9. As he'll continue around the wicket here to Scott in the opening over. And Scott can only get forward and defend once again as Brook throws his back towards him. Well, that was pretty unnecessary, but it just shows what is at stake here. Two tournament heavyweights going hard at each other. This is good stuff to watch. Brook to continue to Scott in the opening over. Here he's in now, and this one's a full delivery, but it's pushed down the leg side. So that'll be a wide. So that one will have to be re-bowled. It's another one added to the total here for HOWZAT. No wicket for 2 in the opening over. Another cautious start yet again here for Scott, as this one's another one that's pushed down the leg side. So it's back-to-back wides there for Brook. So just misfiring on his radar there, the Reds quickie. Just needs to find that spot that he was on for those first 3 deliveries. Here, HOWZAT no wicket for 3 in the first over. As Brook will continue again now to Scott. And this one's a full toss, and well, I think this has hit him on the leg again and it's hurt him. And this one has run through to the keeper to end with. No wicket for 3 after 1. It'll be STEPIEN to bowl the second over of the innings. As in now round the wicket to Scott, and he begins with a shorter delivery. And Scott pulls this away, and it beats STEPIEN, who couldn't field of his own bowling for the first boundary of the contest. It's a bottom edge, and he drags this down, and STEPIEN just can't get there. 4 runs. STEPIEN to continue around the wicket here to Scott in the second over. Here he's in now, and Scott gets a thick outside edge on this occasion onto the fence, and he'll move through for a single. Well, there's plenty of feeling out there at the moment. Here it just looked like Brook lashed out there at Scott. And he's just tried to grab at his bat there. So that looked like they're trying to get under the skin here of the HOWZAT skipper. They know that his wicket is a priceless one here in match 9. HOWZAT no wicket for 8. As STEPIEN continues again now to Scott, and he pushes this one down the leg side. So that one will have to be re-bowled. So it's now 9 without loss here for HOWZAT. So they'll be pretty happy with where things stand after 7 deliveries, particularly when we know that Scott can get going at the back end of the innings. As STEPIEN is in once again to Scott, and this one's a good delivery outside the off stump. And Scott watches this closely and lets this one go. So you can just feel this one bubbling out there in the middle. Brook in particular has plenty to say to the HOWZAT skipper. As STEPIEN is in once again to him now, and this one's a thick inside edge, and it lobs over Brook for the second boundary of the innings. So luck just favouring the HOWZAT skipper at the moment. He's hit it into the ground, and it's another boundary. So STEPIEN is in for the final ball of the second over. Here he's in now to Scott, and he drops short, and he's hammered through mid-wicket, this time for a maximum. So it's an expensive second over here for the men in red. 16 coming off the STEPIEN over. HOWZAT 19 without loss after 2. So the two-time champions are placed brilliantly here in match 9. Scott looks in tremendous form in this tournament. He's moved along to 15. His side 19 without loss after 2. And the men in red need his wicket and need it quickly, because the opportunity for 1 bonus point has already been missed. A crucial final 10 deliveries of the innings coming up. It's going to be the red skipper Hamid ELBASHA to bowl the third over of the innings. As in now to Scott, he begins with a full toss, and it's hammered down the ground for another boundary. Scott moves to 19, and the alarm bells might be starting to ring for the men in red. They're 2 inches short of a length, in desperate need of a wicket, as ELBASHA is in once again to Scott, who drops this on the leg side and takes on STEPIEN, and he wins the battle. So Scott moves along to 20. HOWZAT 24 without loss. 1 bonus point method has already been eliminated here for the Reds, and they're behind on wickets taken, so they might just have to chase this inside 10 deliveries to qualify. Here's ELBASHA is in once again to Scott. It's a full delivery, and it's expertly driven down the ground once again for another boundary. Scott moves to 24. HOWZAT move along to 28 without loss. So the men in red facing a big task to qualify for the quarterfinals, as ELBASHA is in once again to Scott. And this is a good delivery, which jags back at Scott, and this looks like it's sailed over off stump. So it's a good bit of judgment in the end there from the HOWZAT skipper. So as things stand, the men in red are 2 wickets behind HOWZAT, who still have to bowl here in this contest, as ELBASHA will continue to Scott in the third over. And this one's a full delivery, and it's another one which sails over the fielder's head and goes to the boundary once again. That's now 4 or so boundaries as Scott is hit in that direction. Scott moves to 28. HOWZAT 32 without loss. And things are just not going the Reds' way here in match 9. So it's going to be Justin Brook to bowl the final over of this innings. Here he's in now to Scott, and begins with a good delivery, and Scott plays this away on the offside to the red skipper, who pegs it back at the stumps. So the frustration's clear to see here for the men in red. They now know that their hopes are on life support. It's good aggressive cricket here at the WCG. Brook to continue in the final over here to Scott. Here he's in now, this one's a back of a length delivery, and Scott is happy to defend on the offside for no run. So he now knows that they can't beat them on wickets taken, so they're going to have to chase this target down inside 10 deliveries and get a bonus point to qualify. Here is Brook will continue to Scott in the final over. This one's a full delivery, and it's hammered down the ground as Brook can't field of his own bowling, and it's another boundary. HOWZAT 36 without loss. Scott moves along to 32, and they're going to be hard to catch from here. So the men in red are going to have to restrict this to as low as possible, as Brook is in once again to Scott, and this one's a full fast delivery. Oh, and he's let this go, the umpire. So he said this is under waist height. So a priceless dot here for the men in red as we arrive at the final delivery of the innings. Here it's Brook around the wicket to Scott. This one's a back of a lane delivery, and it's another one dragged to that onside as it goes to the boundary to end with. HOWZAT finished 40 without loss. Scott finishes 36 not out, and it's a massive task here for the men in red. So another brilliant knock from the HOWZAT skipper at the top of the order has propelled the two-time champions to 40 without loss after their 20 deliveries. Scott finishing 36 not out, and it's now going to be a mammoth task for the men in red if they're going to avoid their first ever exit at the group stage in this competition. So this is the equation here for the Reds. They weren't able to pick up a bonus point with the ball, and they will finish on the least wickets taken here in this group. So for them to qualify, they must chase this down inside 10 deliveries. To acquire a bonus point, it'll be 41 to get from 10 deliveries, otherwise they are going home. And it's going to be the skipper ELBASHA who will take the lead responsibility and get this run chase underway. They need in excess of 20 runs and over, so he's going to have to go from ball one. So it's going to be skipper v skipper for the first over of the innings, as it's Scott into ELBASHA. Here he's in now, and this one's a good length delivery, played away to Sabas on the offside. Oh, and he scrambles through for a single. And what was Scott doing? He just stood there as the throw from Sabas misses its mark. Here's an aggressive start, as it has to be from ELBASHA. It's a turn and throw from Sabas. It's not the greatest throw in the world, and I think Scott's happy to keep ELBASHA in, to be honest. So 40 required from 9 deliveries if the Reds are going to qualify. Here Scott is in now, it's a half volley in, Hamid advances and hammers it to the boundary for a maximum. Well, they're going to need plenty more of that, but that's a good start. 7 without loss. 34 to get from 8 deliveries, as Scott is in once again to ELBASHA, and this one's a back of a length delivery, and this one hits ELBASHA on the body, and he has to scamper through for a leg bye. So that's gold dust for the two-time champs, as Scott scampers up the other end to make sure he doesn't get back for a second. It's now 33 to get from 7 deliveries, so they are up against it here, the men in red. They need boundaries, and they need a steady procession of them. Actually, they need the floodgates to open, that's what they need. As Scott is in once again to ELBASHA over the wicket. Here he's in now, and it's a swing and a miss here from ELBASHA. So the task gets even greater now for the men in red. 33 off 6 deliveries. Here is Scott is in for the final ball of the opening over. The men in red 8 without loss. Here is Scott is into ELBASHA, and he plays his way on the offside, but it's only going to be a single. And that's not enough for the men in red. 9 without loss after 1. 32 to get from 5 deliveries. It's going to be Costa Sabas to bowl the second over of the innings, and it begins with a wide. So he picks up where he left off in match 5. And the men in red will be hoping that he can bowl a few more of them. Here is Sabas, will continue to ELBASHA in the second over. Here he's in now, and this one's a wider delivery outside the off stump. Oh, it's been given a wide by the umpire. So it's 30 to get off 5 deliveries. So that brings the Reds back into the contest. They're going to have to hit 5 Zacks, but they're alive now in this contest. As Sabas is in once again, and it's pushed down the leg side once again. So it's 3 wides to begin with here from Sabas, who cannot find his range at the moment. 29 off 5 deliveries. So 5 sixes will win it for the Reds now. Sabas is in once again to ELBASHA, and this time he finds his radar as he knocks Hamid's castle over. The skipper has to go, and much like his side's chances, he's been knocked over here by the pace spearhead. Costa Sabas finally finds his radar, and HOWZAT now know that they're on their way to the quarterfinal. So it's 29 to get from 4 deliveries, and that wicket now brings Justin Brooke, the vice skipper, to the crease at number 2. And barring the miracle of all miracles, his efforts will be redundant here in match 9. So it'll be Sabas to bowl to Justin Brooke for his first delivery. Here he's in now, and this one's a full toss, and Brooke gets a thick outside edge and runs along the fence to the boundary first up. So it's an impressive start to his innings here from Brooke, who's picking up where he left off in the opening match. But it won't be enough. 25 required from 3 deliveries for the Reds. As Sabas is in once again to Brooke, and this one is pushed down the leg side once again. So that will be the 4th wide of the over. So the Reds move along to 1 for 17, which in normal circumstances wouldn't be a bad start to the innings, but they're likely to fall short here. As Sabas is in once again to Brooke, and is left alone outside the off stump with runs needed. So the Reds all but done here in this year's competition. HOWZAT now guaranteed of finishing in top place, as they now have as many wickets as Wet Up does. Even if they were to lose this match, Here is this one's played away on the onside and it's fielded by Daniel Arnold for a dot. So they need 24 of this final delivery here in the second over. Otherwise they are toast here, the Reds. It's Sabas into Brook and he's dragged this one down and it's hammered by Brook on the offside for a maximum. Brook has moved along to 10 and you just get the feeling, why wasn't he opening in this innings? The Reds 1 for 23 after 2. So in what would be a pretty handy start to any run chase, the Reds are 1 for 23 after 2 overs. However, it is not enough for them to qualify and they have been bundled out at the group stage for the first time in their history. Can they finish this tournament on a high? So it's going to be the skipper, Brendan Scott, to bowl the third over of the innings. As in now to Brook, and this one's a full delivery, played well down the ground, but it's well stopped off his own bowling there from Scott, who prevents a boundary. So it's all academic now, and HOWZAT, who were bundled out at the group stage in last year's edition, are back. Here is this one's hits Brook on the thigh, and he's going to move through for a leg by, as Scott has a few choice words to say to the vice skipper, I would assume in response to his earlier tirade in the first innings. So the men in red are going backwards here at the Australia Day T20 Big Bash. A semi-final exit 2 years ago, a quarter-final exit last time out, and on this occasion a group stage exit. As this one's played down the ground by Brook brilliantly for a boundary. That's a beautiful on-drive there from the Reds vice skipper, who moves along to 14. The Reds 1 for 28. Scott to continue to Brook in the third over of the run chase. Here he's in now, this one's a good length delivery, and Brook is happy enough to leave this alone and pay the respect to the ball that it deserves. Here, although it is redundant, they are still on track to win this contest. 13 needed from 6 deliveries, with Brook looking good at the crease. As Scott is in once again to Brook and he's pushed this one down the leg side, so this one will have to be re-bowled. So the Reds looking to finish what's been a disappointing campaign on a high. It's going to be HOWZAT and Wetup who progress from the group of death. Here is Scott is in for the final delivery of the third over. Here he's in now to Brook and this one's a good length delivery. It's played away expertly on the offside there from Brook for another boundary. Scott has gone the journey here in match 9, conceding 19 runs off his 2 overs. Brook moves along to 18. The Reds 1 for 33 with 1 to go. 8 to get from 5 deliveries here for the men in red. As it'll be Daniel Arnold to bowl the final over of the innings. And Justin Brook pushes this on the offside as it hits the bin, and he moves through for a single. So 7 to get from 4 deliveries if the Reds are going to end their tournament on a high. I'm sure HOWZAT would like to finish their group stage with a win. However, regardless of the result, they will finish in first place here in the group of death. And I'm sure they would have taken that pre-tournament after their group stage exit last time out. As Arnold's in once again to Brook, and this one hits him on the thigh as it drops there behind the stumps, and he moves through for a leg by. So 6 to get now from 3 deliveries here for the men in red. 1 clean hit will win this for them. Regardless of their exit, Brook has had a pretty handy tournament with the blade. Scores of 14 and currently 19 not out. And you just have to ask the question, why didn't he open in this run chase? Here is Arnold's in once again to him now, and he's hit this over the fence, has he? I think is this coming back into the backyard? It has! And Scott takes it one-handed. So that's the end of Brook here. The misery is nearly complete here for the men in red. It was a short delivery from Daniel Arnold, and Justin Brook gets every bit of this. And it looked for 1 minute it was coming back into the backyard after hitting the house next door and coming back onto the roof. But Scott spotted it early and takes the catch. Brook has to go for 19. So 2 inches short of a length for 2 for 35 here in the run chase. And that wicket now brings Alex STEPIEN to the crease, the last man in. The men in red need 6 runs off 2 deliveries. Can he get them home? So it'll be Daniel Arnold, who's just picked up his first wicket of the tournament, to continue in the final over to STEPIEN. Here is he now to get some top edge, and it's over the fence, is it? It is, that's the match over. STEPIEN goes for glory and he's mistimed this one. And it's HOWZAT who prevail here by 5 runs. Daniel Arnold picks up 2 wickets in 2 deliveries to wrap this one up for the 2-time champs. They will finish top of the pile here in the group of death. And after last year's disappointing campaign, they are back on the scene with a vengeance. So it was unfortunate that the back end of that match was academic. Otherwise that probably would have gone down as a nail biter. However, it's HOWZAT that prevail here in match 9 by 5 runs, and they will qualify top of the pile here from the group of death after winning 2 from 2. Scott top scored with 36, and Daniel Arnold picking up 2 wickets to round off the win here for the charcoal. So as you can see on your screens now, it is HOWZAT who finished atop of the group here in Group A, and the omens are good here for the men in charcoal, given the last 2 winners of the competition have come from the groups of death. It will be Wetup who will join them in the quarterfinals as they finish second, and for the first time in their history, it's 2 inches short of a length who will finish bottom of the pile and are eliminated at the group stage. And as we look ahead to the next match of the tournament, it's the Pink Stink to round us off in Group B. A win for the Nif Nuffs will see them finish top of the group, and the WCG Babes will be looking to produce the upset of all upsets.